What is going on, Guardians? TBL here, coming back at you with something we haven't done for a while, just an old school standard gameplay commentary, playing a little bit of some TDM on the dungeons. You know, that map everybody hates on the Dreadnought. Seems like the Dreadnought doesn't really get the best PvP maps. We've got this in Cathedral, and Cathedral is like one of the worst PvP maps in the game. Just way too large, way too much going on there. I actually don't mind dungeons that much, but it could be a little bit better. It's not the best map in the game. Although, you know, PvP isn't really in its best spot right here. But yeah, just running around, trying to get back used to playing some PvP on my Titan and having a pretty darn good time of it. Man, I like being a shotgun ape, because that's pretty much where this game's PvP is right now, right? Well, maybe not for much longer. But anyways, good morning, Guardians. It is Friday, once again, the end of the week. I hope you guys have had a wonderful week thus far. I hope you guys are going to have a wonderful weekend. It should be a fun time. We've got that old podcast Showdown thing going on tomorrow, January 28th, going to be happening at 10 a.m. Pacific time. The men of the Planet Destiny podcast are going to be taking on the former people of the Planet Destiny podcast, the new Destiny Community podcast crew. Should be an interesting time. We're going to have a little bit of fun playing off of some PvP modes. Going to be playing a little bit of Crucible and a little bit of Sparrow Racing League for a few hours. Should be fun, and we'll be playing for a good cause, because we're going to be raising money for St. Jude's Hospital. That's right, all of the donation proceeds that happen during this podcast showdown are going to go towards charity, which makes it even better. Super happy to be a part of that. If you're interested in seeing some fun, I would definitely recommend you guys check it out tomorrow. And if you'd like some more information, hit up the description box beneath this video. I'll leave links to where all of the relevant information for this tournament sort of podcast showdown thing down in the description box. There's a lot to catch up on. But now that the awareness has been raised, let's move on into the topic of today's video. I spoke a little bit earlier about being a shotgun rusher, and you guys are seeing that in full force here. Just kind of moving my way in circles around the map, shotgunning to my heart's content. And that's really been the case for Crucible as a whole for really the entirety of Rise of Iron's existence. The Crucible has been kind of a tumultuous place of balance since the Taken King came out, and you guys know my opinion on this. I think weapon balance was pretty much at its best towards the end of Year 1, around the House of Wolves era, right before the Taken King went live. That's when I think things were mostly balanced, it was the most fun, and you could really use a great variety of weapons in the Crucible. Yes, stuff like Last Word and Thorn were very powerful, but there was generally a greater variety in the Crucible than what you see in today's era, where it's basically all Clever Dragon, Palindrome, Matador 64. But according to Bungie, that might be changing very soon as a few weeks from now. Because yesterday we got our This Week at Bungie, the Bungie weekly update, and they talked a little bit about the next Sandbox Weapon Balance update coming to Destiny. And it's apparently going to be dropping sometime mid-February if everything stays greenlit. This is good. Not great because I want it sooner, but good. This week, Deej had on senior designer Josh Hamrick, who was around for a lot of the balance updates for Destiny Year 1. You could actually say he's responsible for a lot of the way the game played in its original state, which was very fun in my opinion, so it was good to hear from him. And while we didn't get anything super detailed about some of the balance changes that are going to be coming in the future, we did get a general outline for what their goals are with these balance changes. And we're going to be taking a little bit of time to read from the weekly update and give you guys a heads up on exactly what they're talking about here. And so the weekly update reads as thus. Senior designer Josh Hamrick was on hand for some of the original space magic riddles. He'll tell you he was the origin of the hunter species. Before the launch of Destiny, he was a frequent weekend champion as a member of the design team that first figured out how the Nova Bomb, the Golden Gun, and the Fist of Havoc could exist together in a brave new world filled with primary, special, and heavy weapons. And melees, and of course you guys get the idea. And he had these things to say about the upcoming balance. Friends, the time draws near. Sandbox and Crucible designers have been investigating and updating the competitive ecosystem, and I am proud to say that we are getting very close. Through experimentation and near daily battles to the digital death, we have begun to home in on a set of changes that we believe will freshen things up. Without further ado, I give you our fairly vague, mysterious overview of our design goals and changes. 1. To promote alternatives and counters to shotguns. This is very important for today's meta. 2, align potency of primary weapons with surgical changes. Now I like this one because they're talking about the potency of primary weapons in relation to their ability to compete with special weapons. This is good because on the whole, primaries can't really compete with the shotguns and sniper rifles of today's meta. Number 3, file down a couple of issues from each class. This is probably going to be in relation to some of the complaints about Stormcallers and really Juggernaut Titans right now. Number 4, fix some issues with a sampler platter of exotics. And finally, number 5, supporting adjustments to special ammunition. Now this is one I wasn't really expecting. The conversation around the availability of special ammo has basically juggled since the day Destiny launched. Bungie's taken away special ammo, they've brought it back, they've taken it away again. Who knows what they're going to be doing this time? All I know is I feel like it's going to be something that's going to shake up the meta quite a bit. Alright, they follow this up by saying, we realize that you thirst for facts and details. I hope that these snippets of information will at least tide you over until we can tell you more. Maybe we can even do that live in the near future. Hinting, of course, at the fact that Bungie is, of course, gearing up for another ride-along series, this time about Crucible changes. Haven't had one of those for a very long time, and it's definitely about time we got some big stuff in. And that's pretty much it, Guardians, so we've got a promise from Bungie that the next Sandbox update will be ready by mid-February. Now, what does mid-February mean? No idea. It's been said with their usual Bungie lack of clarity. But I do know that I am very happy to see it coming. In my opinion, it's been way too long since we had a shake-up of the primary weapon balance. You guys know my opinion on it. I definitely think primaries are a little bit on the weak side now. Feels like with the Taken King, after all the nerfs and buffs in year 1, with the Taken King we just kind of really dipped into nerfing popular weapons that really, in my opinion, some of which didn't really need big nerfs. And it's definitely created an atmosphere of power dip that has left us with the state of Crucible that we find now, where really shotgun rushing is the most effective strategy because most other primaries can't compete against it. 90% of hand cannons are basically useless unless they have 2 very specific perks in rifled or reinforced barrel. Auto rifles have been all but forgotten because they just can't compete even when they're used at their best. And certain archetypes of pulse rifles were just unnecessarily nerfed in my opinion, to the point where they just don't really feel consistent. And that's all stuff that's hopefully going to be addressed within the next few weeks. I am very excited in seeing what Bungie has in store, and admittedly a little bit worried. For a long time, their Crucible balancing philosophy has basically been they want to balance the game around team shooting while having lower times to kill for primary weapons. And I never really understood that sort of mantra. In a game as mobile and fluid as Destiny, lowering primary damage that much, lowering that time to kill on primaries to the point where the only real consistent way to get kills with most of them is if you're shooting alongside your teammates, was just a surefire way to ensure that people were going to move to the fastest time to kill guns. And what kills faster than anything else? Special weapons with a time to kill of 0.0 seconds. That's right, I don't even think shotguns are broken. It's just that primaries have been knocked down to such a level that they simply can't compete with the mobility and instant time to kill that shotguns allow. You can't burn people down fast enough anymore. And that's definitely a problem that was introduced in year 2 moving forward. But like I said, I'm super psyched that we've got a sandbox change coming soon. Hopefully Bungie has learned from some of these changes over the past year or so, and hopefully we'll be seeing some positive adjustments to Destiny in the future. But alright, it's going to be for this one, guys. Be sure to let me know what you think of all this. Do you think Bungie's going to finally buff some primaries? Be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. And remember, tune in to the Planet Destiny Twitch page tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time, where we will be engaging in the Planet Destiny vs. Destiny Community Podcast Showdown. Should be a good time. But alright, it's going to be for this one, guys. Thanks so much for watching. And as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.